Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Lawrence, it is a big day. I think it's fair to say the biggest day since 1988 when you started in this, and I'm glad that David wasn't right in his concern that it might be anything even close to you're stepping away from politics, you're just getting started. Sean Fraser, welcome. Colleague Darlene, another number of former MLAs here. Welcome everyone, and welcome everyone from the great district of Eastern PEI and everybody who's got a concern, including Northeast Nova Scotia, with the PEI Nova Scotia ferry service. Lawrence welcomed his grandson James, and I was glad to see that we probably have close to 24 youngsters here that are more or less 3 and younger, and that's a reminder that this is a long-term story that we're here for today. It's a great day for Prince Edward Island and for Atlantic Canada. It's a great day for Eastern PEI, for Northeastern Nova Scotia, and it's a great day for the people who have worked for, advocated for, been concerned about, and there's been lots of that, a stable, reliable, long-term ferry service between Wood Islands and Caribou. Congratulations to everybody who's been part of achieving this. What that means, and to recognize, and people are here and I think came with some anticipation, but the way things work around here, you have a pretty good idea what it's about by the time you get here. But what this means for our economy, for our communities, and not least of all for our confidence and our long-term path to grow and prosper. And that's what this announcement really means. And I go back to that word confidence. Of course, it's about transportation, and it's an important link. Of course, it's about serving current needs, but with a 20-year time frame, it's a chance for everybody in this room, right through to those youngsters I referred to foresee and to imagine and to dream and to work together for the great things that we can do that we haven't started to do yet in Prince Edward Island and in this part of the province, with confidence, with reliability, and to achieve prosperity. Many people worked for this. Lawrence is always the first one to give credit to everyone else, but the person who's on the top of that list is Lawrence MacAulay, and we all know it. Our MPs in Atlantic Canada, our Prime Minister, has been a very important part of this from the first time we had those discussions last summer. But it's been people throughout this region and indeed throughout our province who understood, recognized, and made the case for a sustainable approach to the PEI Nova Scotia ferry service. As Lawrence said, there were meetings last summer, starting out in Montague, the opportunity, which was very critical, to spend time with the Prime Minister when he was here for Old Home Week in August, and then that plane ride back, and later in September there were meetings in the Prime Minister's office, and I can assure you that if Lawrence MacAulay weren't in the room, likely there wouldn't have been the result that we've achieved today. But I can say, and I think Lawrence would agree with me, that when we had those first meetings, or even when we got to the Prime Minister's office in September, we actually didn't dream that we'd be here talking today about a 20-year solution. This is a very big achievement. It's a very big achievement, and it surpassed my expectations. I think I'm safe in saying it surpassed Lawrence's expectations when you consider the short term or the year by year or the short number of year approaches that we've been dealing with, and the uncertainty that has introduced to the way in which our communities or our economy or our province could grow. And there's one person without whose support this would not have happened, and that's our Prime Minister. And I think we can all say a big thank you to Justin Trudeau for understanding, and we had that conversation, for understanding that Prince Edward Island is small, but that it can be big, that we can show about growth in our economy, that we can show that the environment can be approached in a way that's consistent with growth, and that indeed we can turn this ferry service and this part of the province and our province into a showcase for what the rest of the country can do as we move forward. And that's why we had his support, and we thank him for that. As Lawrence said, this is about working together, and many people have worked together, and many of them are right here in this room. And I want to acknowledge the work of the task force on the Wood Islands Caribou service. Audrey Schilleber is here. Scott Anir is here. I don't believe Ray Keenan. Is Ray here? Great, Ray, of course. Good morning, Ray. And I thank them for the work that they've done. And frankly, this gives us a longer track to continue to build the case and to understand together what we can achieve with this opportunity. The results reflect a cooperative approach to federal-provincial relations. And Lawrence made reference to being in Magell in July. That was a big day, the Atlantic Growth Strategy. We were at Cayley Hall and Pools Corner in May, pretty near a year to the day, when we announced that the collector roads would qualify for coverage under the Federal Provincial Infrastructure Program, a breakthrough for Prince Edward Island and indeed a change to the national policy. We were in Borden in the summer when the first steps were taken to get to work on the power cable, another big part of our future and our ability to plan and be prosperous. Water and wastewater projects throughout the province, the completion or the further expansion of the Trans-Canada Highway as a major artery for our development. And those are all possible through that cooperation between the province and the federal government, with the advocacy of our MPs, led by our regional minister, and with the support of our Prime Minister and the federal cabinet and caucus. So what this gives us is a solid foundation for our economy and for our environment. I think it's going to be very important as we pursue the fullness of this opportunity to understand not just the case, but in fact what we can turn that into. And to build on that foundation, we're going to do it with leadership, we're going to do it with friendship, and that's apparent in this room this morning, and we're going to do it with commitment, and that's evident here on this stage and throughout this room. And it's also evident in the call for the private sector to be a big part of the solution. So it's an extraordinary opportunity. It's a game changer. Let's all work together to make this our best game ever, our best game yet for Eastern PEI, for our province, our mighty island, and for the Atlantic region. Thank you.